On a quiet November morning in 2020, a successful financial advisor named Melissa Caddick vanished without a trace. In the heart of Sydney, Australia, nestled among the city's most prestigious addresses, stood the lavish home of Melissa Caddick. Known for her acumen in the financial world, Melissa was a trusted advisor to many, a woman of influence and power. But on the 12th of November 2020, the world woke up to the news of her baffling disappearance. Just a day prior, her home was swarmed by agents from the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, known as ASIC, along with the Australian Federal Police. This was no ordinary visit, it was a raid. Documents were seized, computers were confiscated, and the luxurious life Melissa had built was suddenly under microscopic scrutiny. But when the dust settled, Melissa was nowhere to be found. Peculiarly, she'd left everything behind. Her passport, her phone, her designer clothes, even her beloved son were all left untouched. It was as if she had evaporated, leaving behind a life that seemed picture perfect. In the days following her disappearance, the media frenzy was palpable. Speculations ran wild. Had she fled the country? Was she in hiding? Or had something more sinister occurred? As investigators dug deeper, they found a web of deceit and manipulation that painted a chilling picture of the woman behind the facade. The successful financial advisor, the trusted confidant, the loving mother and wife, was not who she appeared to be. With millions of dollars missing, betrayed clients, and a life built on lies, Melissa Caddick's disappearance became the focal point of one of Australia's most intriguing mysteries. But, as the world would soon discover, the disappearance was just the beginning. The real story was far more complex, far more shocking. As investigators peeled back the layers, they would uncover a tale of deceit, fraud, and a Ponzi scheme that had spanned nearly a decade. Little did anyone know, the disappearance was just the tip of the iceberg. Born in 1971 in Lugano, Sydney, Melissa Caddick was not what she seemed. A seemingly ordinary woman, Melissa grew up in a suburban neighborhood, absorbing the everyday life of an average Australian. Yet beneath the veneer of normalcy, the seeds of deception were being sown. As she matured, Melissa began to weave a web of lies, starting with her education. She claimed to have graduated from the University of Technology, Sydney, a prestigious institution. However, in reality, this was nothing more than a fabrication, a fictitious qualification designed to amplify her credentials. It was the first of many lies that Melissa would concoct in her quest for wealth and status. Moving into her early career, Melissa found herself in the investment division of Enarama, a reputable insurance and roadside assistance company. Here, she had her first taste of the financial world, a realm where she would eventually become a notorious figure. But even in these early days, her deceptive nature began to show its face. In 1998, while working at a boutique investment bank, Melissa was caught stealing. This incident marked a significant turning point in her life and career. It wasn't just an act of theft, it was an early indication of her propensity for deceit and manipulation. Yet instead of serving as a wake-up call, this event seemed to embolden Melissa. It was as if she had glimpsed the potential rewards of dishonesty and decided to venture further down this dangerous path. At this point, you might be wondering, how did Melissa manage to escalate from petty theft to one of the most notorious financial scams in Australian history? Well, that's a story of cunning, audacity, and a disregard for the consequences that would eventually catch up with her. She had a knack for deception, a trait that would define her career. And as we delve deeper into Melissa Caddick's life and crimes, you'll see just how far this talent for duplicity took her, and the devastating fallout that ensued. Melissa Caddick's career in the financial world was nothing short of meteoric. After her early days in the investment division of Enarama and a stint at a boutique investment bank, she made her mark at Wise Financial Services. There, she capitalized on her knack for numbers, her ability to charm clients, and her seemingly spotless reputation. In no time, she earned a significant stake in the business, a testament to her prowess and ambition. Her rise didn't go unnoticed. In fact, she graced the cover of the Independent Financial Advisor magazine, a coveted spot that further solidified her standing in the financial world. She was a rising star, admired by many, and her success story was a beacon for aspiring financial advisors. But behind the glossy magazine covers and the accolades, trouble was brewing. While Melissa was thriving professionally, she was also stirring up a storm. Regulatory compliance issues began to surface at Wise Financial Services. The company that once applauded her achievements was now questioning her ethics. However, Melissa, in her usual manipulative fashion, spun tales about her departure from the firm. She claimed it was a voluntary exit, a move to bigger and better things. But those in the know suspected that her departure was far from amicable. Her departure from Wise marked a significant turn in her career. She was no longer just a financial advisor. She was a businesswoman with a stake in a successful company. But it was also a turning point in her life, a shift towards deception and manipulation. It was the beginning of a path that would lead her to exploit those who trusted her, to build an empire on lies. But as her career soared, so did her penchant for manipulation. Behind the scenes, Melissa Caddick was orchestrating a massive Ponzi scheme. From 2012 to 2020, she was engaged in a grand deception, swindling a staggering 30 million Australian dollars from those who trusted her the most, her family and friends. This was not an act of desperation, but a meticulously planned operation that saw the funds diverted into 37 different bank accounts. But where did all this money go, you might ask? Well, Melissa had a penchant for luxury. The money she siphoned off was lavishly spent on high-end properties and an assortment of luxury items. As the funds flowed in, her lifestyle became increasingly opulent. However, maintaining such a grand illusion required an equal measure of cunning. To keep her investors in the dark, Melissa went to great lengths. She fabricated financial statements, painting a rosy picture of profitable investments and steady returns. These documents were nothing more than smoke and mirrors, a facade designed to deceive and manipulate. But like all Ponzi schemes, Melissa's operation was a house of cards. It was predicated on the continual influx of new money to pay off older investors. This is a classic hallmark of a Ponzi scheme, named after Charles Ponzi, who became infamous for using this method in the early 20th century. Ponzi schemes are inherently unsustainable. They eventually crumble when the inflow of new money can't keep up with the promises of returns to earlier investors. Melissa's operation was no exception. As the years rolled on, the pressure to maintain her charade escalated. The wheels of justice may grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. Despite Melissa's best efforts to cover her tracks, the truth was beginning to surface. Little did she know that her world, built on a precarious foundation of deceit, was about to come crashing down. Her empire was built on lies, and it was about to crumble. As we will see in the next scene, Melissa's intricate web of deception was about to be unraveled, setting the stage for one of the most captivating mysteries in recent history. Melissa Caddick's story didn't end with her disappearance. A grim discovery in February 2021, 3 months after she vanished, brought her name back into the headlines. A shoe containing a decomposed foot washed up on a beach in New South Wales. DNA testing confirmed the foot belonged to Melissa. This shocking find marked a macabre turn in an already unsettling saga. Fast forward to 2023, the inquest into Melissa's mysterious disappearance and death reached a grim conclusion. The evidence suggested that Melissa likely met her end by jumping from the cliffs near her home. This conclusion, while providing some answers, left many questions unanswered. How did a woman who seemed to have it all resort to such a desperate act? And where did all the money go? In the legal aftermath that followed, the criminal charges against Melissa were dropped due to her death. However, the court's findings painted a damning picture of her activities. Melissa was found to have defrauded her clients, many of whom were close family and friends, out of a staggering $30 million. This was not a simple case of mismanagement or poor investment decisions. This was calculated, cold-hearted theft. In a bid to make amends for Melissa's crimes, her assets were sold off. Luxury properties, high-end vehicles and designer goods, the spoils of her deception, were auctioned to repay the defrauded clients. But no amount of money could truly compensate for the betrayal they felt. Melissa Caddick's life and crimes serve as a chilling reminder of the destructive power of deception. A story that began with a bright, ambitious woman ended with a tale of greed, betrayal, and a tragic demise. It's a stark warning that not everything that glitters is gold, and that sometimes the monsters are not under our beds, but in our boardrooms, hiding behind a veneer of respectability.